I'm very happy and nervous to be here. I am an old boy, and it's a really, I've been thinking a lot about what I wanted to say to you guys, because there's a lot I want to say, and I recognize that this is an amazing privilege to be standing before you and speaking to you, because, and what's weird about it, why it's hard, is because it's like going back in time and speaking to myself when I was your age. Because I was like you, I sat in these pews. Anyway, just imagine for a moment, if you had the chance to go back in time and speak to your young self. Like if you're, like 16 or something now, and you go back in time to tell your 9-year-old self the secret meaning to your existence, the answers to the problems that you struggled through or you solved as you grew up. You could tell them the answers to the exams or who to ask out for the battalion ball. Yeah, it's coming up, right? What would you tell him if you went back? What would you say to this little young person? I'm going to tell you my story. I leave you with this imaginary conversation, and I'm going to tell you my story. So I went to high school here, and I was in the theater program, or I was in many programs. I was a rugby player. You can't really tell that anymore. But I chose, at one point, I had to choose between doing rugby or doing the classical shows, and I chose the classical shows. And when I was in my senior year, my best friend and I, who were in the programs, the theater shows or whatever, we auditioned for a bunch of schools, because he was like gung-ho and really excited to go to England. And I, for some reason, I always wanted to go to New York, because my brother had gone to school there, and New York was like this city that really spoke to me. But we both got into this school in England. It was called Lambda. And it was a really big, important school. And it was a big deal because it was a 3-year course, and they never took North Americans on this course. And lo and behold, they took 2 North Americans, and 2 North Americans from the same school. So it was a really big deal, and everyone was like, oh my God, this is the lottery ticket. You gotta take it. You gotta go. So I said, oh, you're 19. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take the lottery ticket. But I deferred my entrance to NYU. I said, okay, I'll give it a year and I'll see what I think. So I went to England, and it was amazing. Like England it was 1999, and it was a really amazing, it's a different culture. Pub culture it exists there. We assume because we speak English it's the same. It's a really different place. And it blew my mind. I saw so much theater. I saw theater from around the world. And I saw all these different shows that kind of blew my mind as to what theater could be, because up until then, it had all been classical theater. And what I was doing at school was classical theater, so I was kind of like forgive me, a pig in shit, because I was just doing the thing that I really liked. But then I got to second term, and I came back, and you just get a different perspective as you're into something longer. And I quickly realized that every day we were told we were the best. We were told, you know what, you're amazing, you're so good, you're going to be the next star, you're going to be the next star on Broadway or the West End, or you'll be in a movie, you're going to be famous. And when you're a kid, that's awesome. Like, that's the only thing you really want. But I realized, I'm sitting in class, and my teachers are telling me how amazing I am, and they're telling my classmates how amazing they are, and I was like, you know what, he's not very good, and she's not really that good. So either I'm crazy or you're lying. And it really took me some time, and I was like, yo, this is not for me. I'm not here to be told that I'm great. I know that I'm good, but I want to get better. So, and I know that in environments where you're constantly told that you're good, you're not being challenged. So I had to make a really tough decision, and I decided to leave. And a footnote here for all of you, because you're young people. When you're young, and you want to leave something, people will tell you to not do it. And you have to dig deep inside you and find your inner voice and trust it. You have to listen to people, listen to their experience, and hear their perspective as to why you should leave or should not leave something. But at the end of the day, you are the one who has to decide. And it's the hardest thing, because everyone will talk you out of it. Dude, this is the big ticket. This is the lottery. You are going to be famous. How could you walk away from this? And so I chose to walk away. And I moved to New York because I wanted a challenge. And I had the privilege to do that. And I got to NYU, and I had the same kind of frustration with school. everyone told me, oh man, you're awesome, you're so good. That thing you did, wow, man, you're so good. And I was like, I just don't believe, like, yeah, great, thank you for that. But what are we doing here? How do I get better? And so school wasn't where I really focused my energy, and New York was where I focused my energy. And New York is an amazing, incredible teacher. It teaches you to hustle. It teaches you to struggle and run around and knock on people's doors. Because one thing that's amazing about life is if you knock on someone's door and ask them for a shot, they'll give you that shot, especially in New York, I find, versus Toronto. Because I find that people there, they're used to success stories. They're used to kind of people, anyone can be anything. So if you ask, you can have that opportunity. And I was just ballsy enough to ask a lot of people for opportunities. And so I got to work with this amazing off-Broadway dance theater company. I was in a show with 30 people, buck naked, walking in slow motion. I had no idea what it was about, but it was awesome. And I had these crazy, amazing experience. I think even Dale Churchward saw the show. I was hidden behind a thing. Don't worry about it. So I had mind-blowing experiences, and it really challenged what I was doing, what theater was, and why I was doing it. So out of dumb luck, I got involved in this program at the Public Theater. It was a classical theater program. It's a really big, they do Shakespeare in the Park, which is a big thing, again, with famous people. Again, it's the big ticket. You're supposed to do that. This is the thing you're supposed to do. And I did it, and it was amazing. I got to work with amazing teachers, and I really grew as an artist, and nobody told me I was great. Not one person told me I was as good as I thought I was. And I worked hard. And part of the program was I got to teach Shakespeare in the 5 boroughs of New York City. So I got to go to the Bronx and Brooklyn, and in the summertime I got to work with kids who literally were like so much bigger than me and were like could care less about Shakespeare. And I'm this big dork who's like, yeah, like Hamlet's so good, like to be or not to be, it's such a like meaningful thing, right? And literally one guy was like, I don't give a fuck. You know, that's how I started the lesson. I was like, Hamlet, yeah, and he was like, I don't give a. And I was like, oh crap, and you're taller than me. And we have 45 minutes, and you got all your friends on side with you. And I was like, I was like, you know what? You're right. I don't know why we should give a fuck about this. So let's figure it out. Let's try to connect and understand. And again, because of these young people, it offered me a new perspective and a new understanding as to why Shakespeare, why did I value Shakespeare? Why did I even care about telling these stories? So it was really exciting, and then because of that, I got hired as an actor in Washington, D.C. And I went to work at the Shakespeare Theater. And again, it was the biggest regional theater in America, and it's the thing you're supposed to do. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take this job. It's a year, it pays, it's a great opportunity. You work with big, famous actors. And I was completely uninspired, completely devastated, because I was like, what the hell are we doing here? These actors, they're actors here. If you ever have the honor and privilege to meet an actor who's been working for 40 years, that's an incredible person to meet. They have so many incredible stories, and you can learn a lot from them. But as a result, it's an environment where, again, you're constantly being told you're amazing. People buy tickets just to see you in a show. So they're not pushing themselves. They're not trying to do something new. They're not really investigating why they're telling these stories. So I'll just tell you a quick story as to why I knew that place wasn't for me.